So, if you're thinking of retiring to Spain from somewhere outside of the European Union, like the UK, Canada, or the USA, what visa will you need and how do you go about getting it? Well, if you're a little bit confused, then you're not alone here, especially if you're British. It used to be the case that any Brit could simply move to Spain and register for residency. And, well, pretty much everyone knows somebody who did that. But now, post Brexit, you will need to be granted a visa. And to get that visa, you need to demonstrate that you meet the requirements set out by the Spanish government. So in this video, I'm going to explain in very simple terms exactly what this visa is, how much income you need to get it, what documents you will need to provide, what the application process involves, and then I'm going to point out some of the mistakes that people make when applying. And finally, I'll show you a tool that you can use to check your eligibility in just a few minutes. I'm James. I've been helping people move to Spain since the early 2000s, from working in property sales and legal support to writing my own comprehensive guide to buying property and moving to Spain, and now building my YouTube channels. Over the years, I've helped hundreds of people make the move, but I've also seen people make big but very avoidable mistakes. So this channel exists to help you do things properly and in a stress-free way so that you can build a life in Spain that actually works for you. If that sounds interesting to you, please do subscribe to this channel. It goes a long way to helping me reach more people with solid, no-nonsense information. Okay, so the visa that you will need to retire to Spain is officially called the Non-Lucrative Visa, or the NLV. It's designed for people who want to live in Spain long term, but who won't be working for a living, and that's a very strict requirement. The applicant is not allowed to work for their income in Spain or in any other country. So if you want to work remotely, the digital nomad visa is a better fix, and there's a video coming on that soon. Without the visa, you will only be entitled to spend 90 days in any given 100-day period in Spain, or specifically in the Schengen area, which includes Spain and 28 other European countries. The non-lucrative visa gives you the right to live in Spain as a fiscal resident. That means you'll be living off of passive income such as your pension, investments or rental income, but you'll be paying tax on that income in Spain. To be granted the visa, you first have to demonstrate that your income is sufficient to support you and any dependents that you bring with you. So let's look at those financial requirements first. Spain calculates the minimum income using something called the IPREM. That's kind of a national reference point for income thresholds. It's used when calculating social security benefits and in other situations where the government needs to calculate income related to the cost of living. Now in 2025, IPREM is set at €600 a month, or 7,200 euros a year. But before you get too excited and think that's easy and that you can cover it, remember that's just a reference point. For the non-lucrative visa, you'll need to show an income of 400% of IPREM. That's for the main applicant, and then a further 100% for each dependent. That means that for an individual applicant, you need to show income of 28,200 euros a year. For a couple, you'll need to add a further 7,200, so 36,000 in total. Another 7,200 is needed for dependents, so a family of four would need to show 50,400 euros a year of course, passive income. Of course, there are more requirements, but before I get to them, let me explain what a dependent is. Firstly, a spouse or a legally recognised partner can be counted as a dependent. Secondly, any child under the age of 18. Now, dependents over the age of 18 can only be included in the main applicant's visa if they are dependent for a reason that prevents them from working, such as a disability. So what are the other requirements? Firstly, you're going to need health insurance. It has to offer full coverage to the same level as Spain's public system. Now, obviously, that's going to cost money, but that money isn't on top of the financial requirements I just laid out. It can be paid for from them. Now, Americans are going to be used to this, although you are likely to find that it's much cheaper than you're used to. But for most Brits, this is going to be an expense you're not used to. The health insurance policy has to be one which is approved by the Spanish government. If you check the video description below, I've included a link to a broker who can offer government approved policies. If you're receiving a UK state pension, you can substitute health insurance with an S1 certificate, which allows you to use the Spanish state healthcare system for your treatment, but that treatment would be charged to the UK's health service. Next, you need a medical certificate. Now, this is an official letter from your GP saying that you don't have any communicable diseases which you might bring into Spain with you. You'll also need a criminal record check, an ACRO if you're in the UK, showing that you have no unspent criminal convictions. Now, spent convictions for minor offences will probably not stop you from being granted a visa, although, of course, that is entirely at the discretion of the Spanish authorities. Convictions for serious and violent crimes may prevent you from gaining a visa even once those convictions have been spent. And finally, you're going to need certified translations of all of these documents, and that's key. The English originals won't work. You'll have to have them all translated and officially verified in order to make the application. So, how do you make the application? You'll need to complete the application forms, both a general visa application form and a specific non-lucrative visa application. Both of those are available on an article accompanying this video on my website, links in the description. All of the paperwork, along with the completed forms, copies of your passport and passport photos, and an administration fee need to be submitted at the consulate. If you are bringing dependents with you, of course, you're going to need to provide paperwork for them as well and evidence of their legal relationship to you, such as birth and marriage certificates. And don't forget, all of that has to be legally translated as well. What kind of timescales would you be looking at? Well, the first steps of getting all your paperwork together and getting approved for a certified health insurance policy is going to take at least a few weeks. The standard timescale for an ACRO criminal record check in the UK is 20 days, although you can pay to speed that up. And of course, you have to allow time for all of that once it's gathered to be translated and legalised. Once all of that paperwork is submitted to the Spanish consulate, you should receive a response within 3 months, although that could be extended if you were asked to provide more paperwork or if you're asked to attend the consulate for an interview. Once approved, you then have 30 days to collect your visa and you'll need to move to Spain and obtain your residency card within the next 90 days. You're then valid for 1 year, at which point you need to renew, and then you need to renew every 2 years after that. After 5 years, you can apply for permanent residency. Now, unfortunately, there are plenty of opportunities for mistakes to be made during this process. Spanish bureaucracy is notoriously laboursome, and making a mistake can cause long setbacks or worse, a rejection which leads to a lengthy appeal process. Let's go through some of the most common mistakes which catch people out. One thing that people get wrong regularly is moving to Spain and then applying for the visa. You can only apply from your home country at a Spanish consulate. Not only that, it has to be a consulate that covers your specific location. There are 3 consulates in the UK covering different geographical areas. For more information on that, please take a look at the accompanying article on my website. Another common mistake is submitting health insurance that doesn't meet the right level of cover. It has to be comprehensive, it has to be government approved, and well, on top of that, often people start paying for health insurance early on in the process and long before they need it. There's a link to a broker in the description below who can help you avoid those problems. Another mistake is submitting actively earned income as passive income. And this can happen very innocently. For example, while income from rental properties can be classed as passive income, if those properties are held in some sort of company structure and you're a director of the company, well, then that income could be considered as being earned. Also, mistakes can be made by submitting documents which are too old. Medical certificates must have been issued within the last 3 months, for example, but documents don't necessarily have to be out of date to be rejected. For example, a valid passport can be rejected if there's not enough time left before it expires. And of course, documents will be rejected if they haven't been properly and legally translated. So you need a pro to do that. Finally, people can stumble and, not to mention, put themselves through a very stressful experience if they arrive unprepared for an immigration interview at the consulate. So what's the best approach to take to avoid these mistakes? The first step is to do a preliminary check to see if you meet the requirements of the visa and to flag any obvious problems. That way you're not going to waste time and money if you're clearly not eligible to be granted a non-lucrative visa, and well, you might be able to identify other options at that point. If you follow the link in the description below, there's a simple form you can fill out to get an instant assessment of your eligibility. If you want to try and apply for the visa on your own, the instructions are available in an article on my website that accompanies this video. Of course, the link's in the description below. There's an even more detailed explanation in my book, Chasing the Sun, which again is linked in the description below. But if you really want to make sure that you have the best chance of success in the least stressful way possible, I really do recommend using a professional service to help you with your application. A professional visa agent will have all of the experience and contacts needed to walk you through the process of obtaining your paperwork and ensure that your application is properly submitted and is processed as quickly as possible. Now, I've seen agencies charging thousands of euros for this service, but it really should not have to cost that much. I've checked out the services of several visa agents, and I think I found one that stands out well ahead of the crowd, not just because their fees are very competitive, and well, let's be honest here, it would be best for me to recommend an agency that charges more because that way I get an even bigger kickback for the recommendations. But not only does this company show the right level of experience and professionalism that I would expect from any partner that I recommend, they've also put together a unique platform that makes it very easy to manage your application and pull together your paperwork online. Dealing with any legal service in Spain and in the UK for that matter can be quite frustrating and involve a lot of chasing up by phone and email to find out what's going on. And well, to be fair, I've been on the other side of the table as well, getting frustrated by clients who send in the wrong paperwork and then chase me for updates when they haven't even read the last email that you sent them. The system that your Spanish visa has put together makes it really easy to track progress and manage all of your paperwork and get your questions answered throughout the process. And on top of that, Juliana, the lead lawyer, has been through the process herself when she emigrated to Spain from Argentina, so there's plenty of empathy involved in their processes as well. If you take the eligibility test in the link that I mentioned before, it will show you whether you're eligible for a non-lucrative visa, and if you are, you can then follow up with a free consultation with Juliana, and by using the link in the description below, you're going to get a 10% discount on her services if and when you choose to proceed. If you're not quite ready for that yet, but you do have questions, please don't hesitate to ask them in the comments below. I'll do my best to answer them for you, and if I don't know the answer, Juliana has kindly offered to come on the channel for a question and answer video soon, so we'll get the answers you need then. I hope you found this video to be useful. If so, please do consider liking and subscribing. It will really help me to grow this channel and put out more videos. And of course, please check out my main channel moving forwards. That's where you will see me getting away from this desk and exploring locations in Spain, as well as putting out videos which are a bit more story based, more about travel, Spanish culture, and well, really all the reasons that I love the country. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.